What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a typical kind of rave super solid sort of thing. It's very typical in drops, and it's cool sometimes. I'm not really into those when I make music, but I know how to make them, and it's kind of easy to do, so I'll show you how to do it. And I just added on a wow filter other than just having massive. So if you want to do that, you can do that. You guys know how much I love this wow filter. And just a little bit EQ, sidechain compression, and a little bit of utility, which is me just reducing the width to kind of center it more in the middle. So it's a little bit more mono, and I just turn on this DC filter thing. So okay, let's jump into massive. So again, this is the sound by itself. And I just layered that with like a bassy kind of like sub layer to that. It's not really a sub layer, but it's sort of a bottom layer to this top layer. So it's just the same MIDI notes. I just found a bassy kind of thing to go underneath that. So together it sounds like. So again, now that I've showed you everything that's going on, and there's nothing going on here on the group except just a little bit EQ and auto filtering for transitioning, I can now get into massive. So all I did in massive was, so let's start with voicing. So make sure you got a new default, new sound here, and you're ready to go. So we're gonna put this up to 6 voices here, and this will be on polyphon. We're gonna put this kind of in the middle just so it gives us a little bit more options on where we want to put this. So you can just leave it right there in the middle, or you can turn on pan position and do that sort of thing. So we just drop in a macro 4, and that's that. And now we're gonna go to our oscillator tab. So I have no glide here, and I left this off, but if I turned it on, I mean, this is kind of what I would do. So yeah, in this case we don't mind this being off, because that isn't really necessary. These waveforms are simple enough, and they're all playing the same waveform, and they're all in the same position. So to kind of phase them differently would just be bad phasing. So okay, we don't need this on. And let's see, for routing, just make sure you have insert 2 kind of over here. Actually, we're not even using that stuff, not using feedback, so never mind. So as you pretty much already noticed, is that all these oscillators are the same. So oscillator 1 through 3 are all smooth squares. They're all on spectrum. They're all the way up on every knob. So that's wavetable, intensity, and amp all the way up. And they're all at 0. And you're just going to drop in a 5. A macro 5 or whatever you want, just any macro, and we're just going to bring that up to 12 on each one. And make sure these are all routed all the way up to filter 1. Just in case you feel like using a filter, I turned mine off. Just in case you want to use a filter, that's your option there. And then once you get all this down, I'm going to move on. So if you need to pause the video right now, go ahead. But I'm going to continue on to Modulation Oscillator. So what I'm going to do here is bring in that same macro 5, drop it in here. This is at 0. It just says -0 for no reason. And what I'm going to do is I am going to phase that last oscillator just a slight bit. And that's going to pretty much, well, I'll just let you hear what it does. It kind of phases that last oscillator, but with a certain pitch thing going on, and well, actually no pitch because it's at 0. But once you start to move this around, it gives you kind of a cool effect. So you can get that classic like pitch up or detuning sound that you hear most of the time in these kind of tracks. So if I just play this and give you an example, actually let me activate my keyboard real quick anyway. Okay, so watch my macro here and kind of listen to what it does. yeah, that's why we're dropping these in, to give you that option there to kind of pitch this up as you want. And then we're going to go into the last sort of oscillator. It's a noise generator. And I set this to bright noise. I put the color, or I actually left the color all the way up, routed this all the way to filter 1 if I wanted to turn it on. And then I just dropped in a macro 3, and I called it noise because it's the noise oscillator. And you're just going to bring this up to this part right here. So I can, as you can see, I have mine a little bit up. It just introduces a little bit of kind of like white noise and those sort of things. And let's see. Okay, so now if I turn on the filter, you can kind of hear what that's doing. It's just a low pass forward. So not really doing anything, but if I wanted to get crazy with this and maybe try a scream, and maybe put this halfway, maybe this kind of around here, just kind of. So a cool filter, if you want to use a filter just so you can make a cool transitioning sort of thing, you can always drop in like a 6 or something like that onto pitch. I'm a big fan of using automation and macros, so that's why I like to use a lot of them. And so again, this is all unnecessary and whatever, so we're just gonna move on to FX now, which is pretty much the last part of this in Massive. So as you can see, just copy down these settings. If you want to drop in a macro for your delay, you can do that. As you can see, I'm not really using it here. I just don't want more delay than it needs to be. I just kind of have the reverb on this, but again, I'm just showing you guys kind of what's going on in here. Even if I've turned it off, you guys might like it on or off, so that's up to you guys. And for reverb, if you guys want to get these settings down real quick, go ahead, pause the video, copy it. I don't really need to do any explaining here. And I'm going to move on now to EQ. And let's see, I just kind of cut the low shelf a bit, boosted the high shelf, cut this frequency by that much. So that's really it. Very simple. And now I'm going to play it without the wow filter on. So this is what you guys should have. So it's already done and complete, and I just add the wow filter to give it a little bit of taste. Kind of to, what I like doing with the wow filter is after I put it after my synthesizer, and if that synthesizer has a reverb, the wow filter kind of processes that reverb tail too, and it kind of makes it more evident, like more obvious that there's a reverb. But I like how that sounds, so that's why engineers will tell you don't add reverbs early on, do reverbs last, because you don't want those to be processed by your distortions and EQ and blah blah blah, or maybe not EQ, but like things like filtering and things, so that your reverb is clean and it's not going to be modulated and processed. But I like doing that, so these are my settings here. I just used a high pass 24 dB slope. Overdrive is slightly up, it's not all the way down. It's just a little bit, a notch above that. This is kind of where I put the cutoff, so maybe around 400, 500 hertz. And let's see, my reso is kind of around halfway. I do not have any LFO or anything like that going on here. If you want to know how I did that, that's just a double click on wow filter, or right click on the center, and it lets me know what's going on with these. So nothing's going on with the modulators, and then just mix and master all the way up. And that's pretty much it. I don't really need to go into side chaining or EQ. If you want to know what I did here, I just cut off the low frequency so it doesn't mix in with my bass stuff, and that's pretty much it. And by itself, it just sounds kind of cool. And I would recommend kind of another tip with something like this. So I'll just make a little loop so I can zoom in. These kind of things are really fun to use with a triple grid, so that's Command 3. And when you're playing around with triplet grids or triple grids, you get some very cool combinations that fit this kind of style of music. So that's pretty much my all I have to say about that. And thanks guys for watching. Like, subscribe, lets me know what you guys like and don't like, blah 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 blah. You guys know what to do. Lates.